Alright, I wanted to see if I could build a fully custom keyboard using just Amazon, because who doesn't love fast shipping? I just had 3 rules. 1. All parts must be bought from Amazon, obviously. 2. All parts must be shipped with Prime shipping. And 3. It has to be budget oriented, around $150 or so. Because if you're spending a bunch of money on a custom keyboard using Amazon, what are you doing? And this is where I landed. For the case, we have the LCT Nimbleback 681, and this case costed me $60. It used to cost $50, but I guess it just got too popular. But even so, for the price, this board still packs a lot of features. It has RGB backlit keys, hot swappable sockets that supports both 3-pin and 5-pin, 2 USB pass-through on the back here, and finally it has a 65% layout that you don't really see often with the separated nav cluster on the top right. But we're actually just going to take all the keycaps and switches and chuck them to the garbage because they're just not that great, and we're going to replace them with something better. For the switches, I'm going with the Akko Matcha Greens. Akko switches really need no introduction. Akko has really great switches, especially at the price point that they're at, and I'm going with the Matcha Green here instead of the Ocean Blues because #linear gang. But I also want to show you another switch manufacturer for you to consider. TECSEE. I have already reviewed the purple Panda on my channel. These are my #1 tactile holy type Panda switch. And for the linear variant, they have these carrot switches, and these are good too. But recently they have released a couple of new switches for you to consider. They have the Ruby and Sapphire. I haven't actually tried these switches yet, but they do look pretty nice. For the keycaps, I want to go with Shine Through just to take advantage of the RGB LEDs on the keyboard. And what I settled on is the Happy Balls PBT keycaps and this blue theme. I originally bought this pink and purple Happy Ball set, but I made a rookie mistake. For some reason, this keycap set does not come with a short right shift needed, and this one does. And lastly, let's talk about lube. You're not going to find Krytox 205G0 on Amazon, but you will find whatever this is. Wow, it even comes with like really short brushes that are kind of bent now. But for the lube here, we have the Oil GPL 205G0. I have no idea how well this is going to work. We're just gonna have to see. Oh, and I also have dielectric grease for the stabilizer wires. Alright, let's get to building. Let's first lube the switches. I'm using a switch opener I got from KBD fans, but there are a lot of options on Amazon these days. I'll actually be tub lubing the stems because I'm lazy. You just need a container that you don't care about, put your stems in there, rub some lube around the walls, then give it a good shake. Nice and even. Unfortunately, there's no way to batch loop the housing, so I'll be using the brush that came with the loop kit, which is awful by the way. I took out the stabilizers and clipped the legs, looped the housing with whatever is in this little jar, looped the wires with dielectric grease, snapped the stabilizers back together, and mounted them back on the keyboard. Alright, we're almost done. Pop the loop switches into the keyboard, mount the keycaps, and just like that, we have our own custom Bakeneko keyboard with parts bought on Amazon. I have to admit, it does feel really nice to have your parts delivered within 2 days from ordering. It definitely beats GMK wait time. Let's go ahead and roll the sound test, and I'll give you my thoughts about this whole experience. Now you certainly can build your own keyboard with everything bought from Amazon. I don't necessarily recommend that you do so. While this loop here works okay, you're better off just buying Krytox 25G0 from one of the many vendors that offer it today. The community has been using Krytox for many years, so we know that it works. I have no idea how well this is going to hold up over time. While the switch choices are pretty limited right now on Amazon, between the Akko switches and the TECSEE switches, those should give you a pretty good starting point. One of the joys of this hobby is by trying different switches, which you can't really do if you're limiting yourself to just Amazon. However, as a newcomer, it can be extremely overwhelming to figure out what switch you want because there are so many switches that are out there and there are so many different vendors. So by limiting the choices to the switches that are available on Amazon, that can help a newcomer out. As for the keycap options, there are pretty good PBT keycap choices these days on Amazon, as long as you're using a standard layout. Even with like this layout here, with the shorter right shift and the 1U Alt key, that limited your choices quite a bit. But even so, more and more PBT keycap sets are offering 65% compatibility like this one here. Lastly, let's talk about the case. If you're extremely budget oriented, Amazon is actually a great place to look at keyboards because there are a lot of great options with hot swappable sockets these days, which makes it really easy to build your own custom keyboard. However, for me, I definitely would prefer a metal case because I think that's just one of the main differences between a custom Bakeneko keyboard and a pre-built, which is kind of what this was before we just took out the switches and keycaps. You can definitely buy metal keyboards like the drop keyboards, which I think are okay for the money, or even like this AR87, which I know nothing about, but hey, if you want to drop $240 on a keyboard on Amazon, I guess you can do that. But if you want a metal keyboard kit, you're really better off just looking outside of Amazon. The Canon Keys Brewless series is a good option, along with the offerings by Maker keyboards, such as with the Phantom. However, of course, you won't get that super fast shipping speed, but I think the trade-off is well worth it. Alright, that's all I had today. Please like the video if you found it interesting and subscribe to stay updated on my future content. Until next time.